This is an ex-rental lens. So it's probably heavily used, but it has saved me an absolute ton of money. So let's open it up, see what condition it's in, and if it's worth the savings. Initially out of the box, this looks pretty brand new, to be honest with you. The actual body of the lens itself is super clean, not many scuffs or marks on it. There are a few scuffs on the lens cap itself, so this obviously has been used, but it's in pretty good condition. There are maybe a few little kind of specks of dust on the inside of the optics, so we're gonna have to see how it performs. But this is the 24-70mm f2.8. It's a Canon EF lens and it's the second generation, so it's meant to be a super sharp, super good lens, and it's a focal length that I've been missing for quite a while, so I'm really looking forward to getting to use this. This lens retails for $2,500 Canadian still on canon.ca. And I only paid $1,100 for this, so an absolutely huge saving. I'm actually using this on my R6 with an RF to EF adapter because, to be honest with you, I am just too poor to be able to afford RF lenses. But I think it's gonna work out really well. And I've got a few images in mind that I wanna take with this, so let's go and test it. Now, some of you might very well recognize this location from a video a few weeks back when I came here to shoot the hoodoos kind of overlooking Canmore, which are just down there somewhere. But whilst I was up here, I actually saw a couple of other compositions that I thought might work quite well. But at the time, I didn't actually have the focal length that I'd need to shoot them. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to test that 24-70 lens, that ex-rental lens, and see if I can get a shot that I've had my eye on. Now, the shot I was looking for is essentially where there are two trees framing the freeway, and then you've got the road, the freeway that runs down between the trees towards Harling Peak, and it all kind of lines up. So I think that's just down here. So the reason I thought this little spot here might be good to test out this lens is because of the versatility of the lens. So obviously it's a 24-70, we got a relatively wide angle, relatively long, and also I wanted to test it at a bunch of different apertures. So the plan is this morning is to essentially lock the tripod off. I've shot a bunch already of kind of cars and lights moving down the road, and then I'm going to keep it locked off here and shoot the sun come up. So I'm going to shoot colour in the sky, hopefully light on the mountains. And I've got a huge range of apertures to choose from as well, from f2.8 to f22. So without having to move anything, I've still got a lot of different options here, which is what this lens is going to be great for. And I do want to see if it kind of produces sharp images at every single aperture. But let me show you what I've got quickly on the camera here. So on the back of the camera here, you can see the composition that I have this morning. On the right and the left-hand side here, we have the trees kind of framing the road. So that's actually the kind of nearest tree on the left-hand side, and then a larger tree in the distance on the right-hand side here. Then we've got the road kind of running into Harling, and you can see Harling's just about catching some light now. So kind of a pleasing little composition, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more light on the mountain there as time goes on. So I think what I'll do today is I'll actually edit a couple of different images from the pictures that I take this morning to show you the advantages of shooting like this, just kind of locking off a tripod and shooting through the day as the light changes. I should have lots of different options, long exposures of the sky, light kind of hitting the mountains and blue hour, as well as those kind of light streaks running down the road there. So towards the end of the video, I'll show you the images that I got from this morning, and also how I can kind of pick and choose what the image looks like based on combining different elements together. It's a really good way of shooting and a really fun way to edit. One thing I've noticed about this ex-rental lens is that the lens hood doesn't work quite properly, I don't think. Normally when you put it on, it should kind of click into place, and there's this little spring-loaded kind of clip and button here on the side, but the spring in it seems to have gone, so it's not staying on brilliantly. But to be honest with you, probably worth the $1,500 of savings. So it is often a bit of a waiting game shooting like this. It can take an hour or two for the light to change, but the results are often worth it, and just having that freedom of kind of editing how you like later on as well is often really worth it. So yeah, just need a little bit of patience. Anyway, I won't bore you too much with my waiting around. I'll meet you back inside. So I've ended up with a bunch of images from the other morning, and I wanted to kind of show you all the images that I've taken and kind of a little brief way of how I'm going to use those to combine them together into different shots. So as you can see here in Lightroom, I've got a bunch of shots all together. There's about 16 images here. A lot of them are actually of the light streaks kind of going down the road of cars going back and forth. So I've got about 10 or 12 of those of just different light trails going through, red lights, kind of headlights on different sides of the road. And then I've also got a couple of different exposures for the sky. So I've got this longer exposure where I've got some movement in the clouds. And then later on in the morning here, I've got a shot with a bit more light on the peaks itself, and that was shot at a faster shutter speed of about 1/13 of a second, just to kind of freeze the clouds a bit. So it's going to give me plenty of options. And then in Photoshop here, you can kind of see how I've put those all together. So firstly, you can see on the side here in the layers panel that I've got all of those light streak layers all together. And the good thing about this, having so many of them, is I can actually go through and kind of turn certain ones on and off. And you can see here it's making small sections of the light trails appear and disappear. So I've got real control over what light trails I include and which ones I don't. And at certain points I've even kind of masked out certain areas of certain frames. So I've really been able to control what light streaks are included in this. And after that, I've put that all into a folder, so that's kind of my base layer. So then I've got an overall image including all of the light streaks and kind of a blue hour shot. And then at the top I can include different backgrounds here if I want to as well, different skies. So I can start off with this one with the long exposure on the clouds. And then if I turn on this layer, that's just put on as a lighten layer. So it's only showing the parts of the layer that are actually brighter than the one below it. And it's adding that into the scene. So I've kind of got a combination of both. And then if I want to as well, I could even switch here to the light on the peaks, more light on the peaks and less cloud movement. So yeah, I've got a few different options there where I can add things in, take things away, and then I can make different combinations. So yeah, a really kind of fun way of shooting, gives you so much flexibility later on in the edit. Using that light and blend mode is really useful to kind of get those lights to shine through on a different image. But it just means I can be creative and kind of produce multiple different images of different times of day and combine them in different ways. And I can do that all in post whilst sat here in the warm, which is pretty nice. And also it gave me a great opportunity to test that lens at lots of different aperture ranges. And it performs brilliantly. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, apart from that little thing with the lens hood not staying on quite properly. But for a $1,500 saving, I think it's definitely worth buying X-Rental lenses. And one of the main reasons I actually bought this lens is because I'm heading to Patagonia in a couple of weeks, and I wanted one lens that I could take with me on the W trek and hopefully get all the reach and all the apertures that I might need to shoot astro or to shoot landscapes or to kind of get a bit more compression. So that's going to be the one lens I take with me, and hopefully it will be enough. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.